Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Megan and I'm a sustainable life and style blogger. I'm also a recent college graduate and I started my sustainability journey my freshman year of college, and I stayed in college for an extra year to finish a master's degree, so I have 5 years of sustainable living experience while in college. I've gotten a ton of requests on TikTok for tips on living sustainably in college, so I thought I'd sit down and give you all my best advice. I want to preface this by saying that this is just a bunch of ideas. You don't have to do every single one of these things in order to be sustainable in college. College is a really overwhelming time. It can be stressful, it's really expensive, and that's just the classes themselves. You might not have a choice about where you live, you might not have a choice about what access you have to grocery stores or public transportation. You might have to work multiple jobs outside of college. So I want to make it clear that everybody's version of sustainability will look different depending on their situation, and this video is not like you have to follow all of these steps in order to be sustainable in college. It's more like here are a ton of ideas, take what makes sense for you, and if it doesn't make sense for you, just leave it for another time. The first thing, especially now that it's back to school season, is school supplies. The most sustainable thing is what you already have. So if you have half-used notebooks from last semester or a backpack that maybe isn't so cute this semester but still is fully functional, use that. There are so many resources that go into making new things, so whenever you are able to fully use something up before buying something new to replace it, that's always the best option. Now, I do realize that eventually you will need to buy new school supplies, so if you need to buy something new, try your best to buy a sustainable option. These are the notebooks that I used for my last year of undergrad and my year of grad school. They are decomposition books. They're like composition notebooks, but they have more fun designs. Like these are kind of hibiscus flowers that felt like USC colors to me. This one has sloths on it. I'm pretty sure it's like sloths lounging on kale, which is just like another level, and this is just a wood grain. It's made from 100% post-consumer waste recycled paper, and it's printed with soy ink, and it's made in the US. I used these over 4 semesters of classes. I don't handwrite a ton of notes either, so that could just be me, but I did my best to reuse these as much as I could, and I still have them after school are done. I think they'll be a good notebook for work. Something else to think about in terms of school supplies is pens and pencils. I previously was the kind of person where I would run out of lead in my mechanical pencils, or an eraser would run out and I would just buy a new pack of mechanical pencils. Those mechanical pencils are literally made to be refilled. You can buy lead to fill into it so you don't have to buy new pencils. And if you run out of an eraser, you can buy another eraser to use for all of your pencils. So if you're also a mechanical pencil kind of person, definitely try to reuse them. No, don't try to. Reuse them. It's also less expensive. And use pens until they're all the way dead. Some people use fountain pens that have like a refillable ink kind of situation. I honestly haven't gone that far yet because I still have a ton of pens and pencils left over from college and even high school. So I'm trying to run through all of those that I already have first before I buy anything new, but that's also an option if you're looking for a longer term pen option. There are also a lot of little things, like there are highlighter pencils that are like wood instead of a plastic highlighter, which are pretty cool. They also probably wouldn't run out of ink because I know my highlighters constantly go dry. You can buy recycled paper for your printer. You can just print less paper in general. So there's a lot of different ideas for school supplies. Comment down below if you need any specific recommendations and I will do my best to point you in the right direction. This is my biggest overarching tip for being more sustainable in college. Focus on your habits. So here's an example. As a sophomore in college, I realized I was going to Starbucks every single day. I would pick up my venti or Trenta iced tea on my way to class in the morning. Occasionally I'd get another drink in the afternoon, or if I was like studying in the library at night, I would get another drink. So I was going through 1 to 3 huge plastic cups and plastic straws at Starbucks every single day. And that wasn't a habit I was necessarily ready to break. As a sophomore, also, this was like at the height of the Save the Sea Turtles, Say No to Plastic Straws movement. So I recognized that this was a habit in my life that was creating a lot of plastic waste. And I started small. So I started by using reusable straws, and I carried them around in the front pocket of my backpack everywhere I went. So whenever I was on campus, even if I mobile ordered, I had reusable straws with me. And that quickly became a habit. I started carrying around extras for my friends too, but I slowly built that like consciousness, that kind of sustainability mindset into that habit that I have every day. And then eventually I invested in a reusable cup at Starbucks. The first cup that I bought was actually a very nice glass Starbucks cup. It looked like a plastic cup, but it was glass, and it was my favorite thing in the whole world. In my strategy class, senior year of college, this man whipped around his backpack from his desk sitting in front of me, and it shattered everywhere, and I was so sad. But I immediately bought a new cup. This is like a gold kind of metal cup. I feel a lot more safe having a metal cup than a glass cup. This required a little bit more of a change to my routine. I wasn't able to mobile order things anymore because you can't mobile order and get it into a reusable cup. So I had to go wait in the line, but I came to appreciate that part of my morning or afternoon routine. I got to know the baristas super well. They loved my reusable cup. If your love language is words of affirmation, I highly recommend using a reusable cup at Starbucks. It's the best. That was a bigger adjustment, but eventually I got used to it. I would just build in 15 extra minutes to my morning routine. I always got to class 10 or 15 minutes early anyway. You do get 10 cents off every time you use a reusable cup at Starbucks, so that's also a way to, like, over time save money. It may seem like a really small change, like just using a reusable straw when you get your coffee every morning or using a reusable cup, but if you think about it, I used to get a plastic cup, a large, like Trenta plastic cup, every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And that's a ton of plastic I've been able to cut out just by buying this one cup, or 2 cups if you consider my glass cup. But by making one investment, I was able to cut out all of that waste. Think about your habits. If you have hot tea every morning, consider changing from individually packaged tea bags to loose tea and a steeper. Or if you go to the dining hall every day and you constantly are taking more food than you end up eating, try to take less food and go get seconds if you end up being hungry for seconds. I'd encourage you to reflect on your college routine and the areas where you maybe produce the most waste or have the biggest amount of room for change in terms of sustainability, and try to focus on one thing and build it into a habit. Another area that might be good to focus on in college, where I also focused on a lot in college, was the bathroom. In general, there's just a ton of unnecessary waste with bathroom products. So if you think about menstrual products or hair care or skin care, all that good stuff, there's just too much packaging waste in my opinion. So when I was in college, I switched to a shampoo bar. It took me a lot longer to switch to a conditioner bar just because my hair is kind of thin and gets oily really quickly. I still don't love my conditioner bar, but those are switches that I made around my sophomore and junior year of college. I switched to a safety razor, so I didn't have to buy plastic razors anymore. I invested in Thinks Period underwear and a menstrual cup to now have a zero waste period, which is really exciting. Focus on the different areas of your life. If you're living in a dorm, you probably can't change so much about the food that you eat or like the electricity that you use, but you do have more control over your bathroom routine. So think about the situation that you're in, areas where you create maybe more waste than you would like to, and try to find solutions from there. Also, going off the idea of habits, it's really important to make sustainability easy for you. One of the ways I liked to do that in college was keeping a zero waste to go kit in my backpack. You can watch my What's in My College Backpack video from last year if you're interested in everything that was in there. But this is just kind of a good example of some of the stuff that I would carry around. It's actually from my internship at Vans. There is a reusable little cloth napkin, wooden chopsticks, 3-piece cutlery set, so a spoon, a fork, and a knife, and there's a straw cleaner in here, but no straw, probably because I used it recently. But all of these things fold up really nice. You can use an old pencil case and put things in there. I also would always keep either this or a reusable water bottle in my backpack. I also would keep a reusable bag folded up in my backpack, but just having things like in my backpack on my person at all times was so helpful. If I ever went to the farmer's market between classes, I had a reusable bag. If I ever got coffee or got lunch with somebody, I had cutlery and a straw and a cup to fill it in. When you're starting out with sustainability, it can feel really overwhelming, like there are so many things you have to remember. But if you make it easy for yourself and you just keep all this stuff in your backpack, you're more likely to succeed. Another big one, especially if you live in an apartment, is to join your school's like Facebook Marketplace group. Ours at USC is called Free and For Sale. I don't know what they're called at other schools, but that's a great place to sell stuff you no longer want. I've sold clothes on there. I've sold a ton of furniture. My roommates in my apartments the past few years left behind a ton of furniture, and I always happened to be the last one to move out. And I can't bring myself to throw things away, so I resold them. I actually made quite a bit of money just from reselling stuff on those pages. I got my bed frame on the USC free and for sale page, and I got a ton of other furniture just from like Facebook Marketplace in general. But it's a good idea to join some of those free and for sale pages to find less expensive secondhand options for furniture or textbooks. Speaking of buying things secondhand, look for college merch secondhand. I feel like college t-shirts in bookstores can be really expensive, especially because they partner with brands like Nike to like make it sound cooler, but really it's just like a more uncomfortable material with a logo that you don't really want. I found some of my favorite college merch secondhand. Some good places to look are eBay. There's a lot of vintage stuff on there. Poshmark and Depop sometimes have stuff, but it isn't always the best quality, or sometimes it can be really expensive. I also recommend, if there are thrift stores in your area and you live in like kind of a college town, look at the thrift stores. I wouldn't say LA is a college town, but there's a lot of USC people that stay in LA and in all different parts of LA. And so I found a ton of USC sweatshirts, t-shirts in thrift stores, and a lot of times they're older logos or like old kind of colorways. It's way less expensive, it's way better for the environment, and a lot of times you can get cooler designs. So all around a good option. Those are kind of my main individual action ideas. Here are some other things that come to mind when I think about sustainability in college. Print only when you need to. Freshman year, I would print out all of my readings and like not double-sided and like highlight and mark everything up, and I didn't learn anything more. Obviously, it depends on your learning style. If that doesn't make sense for you, keep printing, but reducing the amount of paper you use is always a good idea. Look for textbooks secondhand to save money and paper and resources, or consider getting them online. Follow the classic dad advice and turn off all the lights when you leave a room, unplug appliances, things like toasters or Keurigs, things that don't need to be plugged in 24/7, unplug them once you're done using them, unplug your chargers when you're done using them. All of those little things add up to use less energy, which if you're paying for your energy bill could save you money, but otherwise it's just a good thing to do. Also taking shorter showers, and like I mentioned before, food waste is a big issue at colleges especially, and I used to just like load my plate when I lived in an area where I had to eat at a dining hall. I would just put so much food on my plate, and half the time I would scrape it into the trash at the end, so you can always go for seconds. One of my biggest recommendations is to take sustainability classes. I was a business major. I got my master's degree from the business school in supply chain management, which is operations focused, not sustainability focused, but I still was able to get a ton of environmental and sustainability education out of those degrees. I tried to take all of my general education courses somewhat related to sustainability. So I took an oceanography class, which I think fulfilled my life sciences or natural sciences requirement, but I learned about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and ocean gyres and ocean acidification and warming, and how different species in the ocean are impacted by a warming ocean and things related to the climate crisis. So while it wasn't a specific sustainability class, I did learn a lot related to it. I took 2 environmental studies classes and tried to take electives in my master's that were related to sustainability. So one was called Digital Strategies for Sustainability, and it was like a consulting class with a company about sustainability strategies, which was really cool. We were supposed to travel to Copenhagen for that class, but coronavirus happened. But I guess my point with all this is just take advantage of all the classes and opportunities you have in terms of education on campus, and even past classes. And I'm speaking from my experience as a student at USC, which is in a big city, so it probably is different at other schools, but we have lectures, we have speakers, we have panel events like constantly happening around school. Keep an eye out for those kind of events and take in all the education that you can. I also would encourage you to join some kind of a sustainability related club. I didn't do this until my last year of grad school. I joined an organization that basically we were advocating for sustainability to be integrated into the curriculum of all majors, which I think is so important. Even we have a huge film school and they never talk about waste on set. Not only was it really cool to be part of that club and kind of advocating for larger scale change, it was the first time I really felt like I was part of a environmentally minded, sustainability minded community. Not a lot of my friends were interested in sustainability. My friend Monica, who actually watches my YouTube videos, she has always been the biggest fan of my blog and everything I do in terms of sustainability, but she didn't eat, sleep, breathe sustainability. She bought a reusable cup, she uses reusable cotton rounds, things that I recommend to her. She doesn't wake up in the middle of the night thinking about the climate crisis like I do. And so it was kind of the first time that I was around a community of people that also just really deeply cared about those issues. Sustainability can feel really overwhelming. It can feel dark and scary and kind of hopeless at times. It is really important to have a community of people that also care about those same things as you. I felt a lot more hopeful about the state of the world after joining that club, which is just really important. On this note, if you aren't learning enough about sustainability, if there aren't any sustainability options at your school, if there aren't any sustainability clubs, advocate for them. Start a club, talk to your campus administration, talk to a professor who maybe has done research about sustainability. Advocate, because I'm sure there are other people on your campus that also care about the climate crisis like you, or want to learn more, or think it's an important part of their education. So as a student, you have the right to advocate for what you want to learn about at school. And moving on, that's kind of like my last tip, like advocate for larger scale changes. There's only so much you can do as an individual, but college is a great time to kind of join forces with other really motivated young people to start a club or start a movement on your campus, or like demand serious sustainability changes from your administration or like your local government. Take advantage of this time where you're around people, find like-minded people, and fight for larger scale change. Advocating for changes on your campus is huge. Like if food waste is a problem, ask your administration if you could do a food waste audit in a dining hall one day, or if you can do a composting trial. We didn't have recycling bins on campus for like the first 3 years I was at USC because our president said it was too expensive to buy fancy looking recycling bins that would match the fancy looking trash cans. There were enough people that were actively against that idea and actively for recycling on campus that we ended up getting recycling bins on campus. We also got a new president, but anyway, advocating for what you want and to have sustainability resources on campus is huge and makes a big difference, not only for the way that you are able to live your life and the way that the college students that are currently there are able to participate in the environmental movement, but all of the classes that come after the time that you graduate, they'll all be positively impacted by those changes. So those are some of my tips for living more sustainably in college and taking part in some more larger scale sustainability actions. I hope you found this helpful. I think if you take anything away from this video, it's just do your best. And your best may change from year to year. Freshman year, I tried to give up fast fashion and I failed. Sophomore year, I used reusable straws every day and that was huge. Junior year, I bought a reusable cup. I was living in an apartment, I was cooking more of my food, I tried to buy more of it not in plastic packaging. Senior year, I was getting completely bulk food, shopping at farmers markets every week, composting in my freezer, had an almost fully plastic-free shower routine. And last year I had some health setbacks that made a lot of those things more difficult. I was buying more prepackaged foods and taking Ubers more often, driving more often. So understand that there are ebbs and flows of your life in college, and what you are able to do may change. So when you're able to do more, do more. When you're not able to do as much, just do what you're able to do. Stick around if you're interested in more sustainability content. I just moved into a new apartment and I have a bunch of secondhand furniture I'll be showing off, some DIY projects, sustainable mornings in my life, how I compost in my apartment, things like that. You can also check me out on TikTok or Instagram or my blog where I talk all about sustainable living and sustainable fashion. If you're back at school this year, good luck, study hard. I know this year looks really different because of coronavirus, and that means sustainability will probably look different this year as well. Just try to have some grace with yourself and understanding that you are doing the best that you can. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.